Start your summer road trip at Midas and get up to $30 off your next repair service. Plus, get a free closer look vehicle check to make sure your road trip ready. So if you need a brake service, an alignment check, or tune-up, hit up Midas for up to $30 off. For more details, request your appointment at Midas.com.
TuneIn is the audio platform with something for everyone. News.
In order to secure convictions in a court of law, it is essential that we conclusively.
Sports.
Shot clock at 4. Doncic. The step back 3. You bet.
Music.
You set my world on fire. Yes,
and even podcasts. Whatever you love, hear it right here on TuneIn. Go to TuneIn.com or download the TuneIn app to start listening.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
yes, goal,
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Here's Dan Schlossberg, the author of a brand new book, Home Run King, The Remarkable Record of Hank Aaron. Dan Schlossberg joins us. Dan, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Bob and Jeff. How are you? How are you guys? Great to be on your show.
We're happy to have you. You're a baseball guy. You've written a lot of books about the game of baseball. So before we get into the Aaron book, what drove your love for the national pastime, baseball?
When I was 9 years old in 1957, my dad and I sat in our living room in New Jersey watching the old black and white Zenith TV. He turned off the sound and talked to me and told me what was going on. And I really fell in love with baseball. And it was during the World Series between the Milwaukee Braves and New York Yankees. And that's what started me on Hank Aaron and the Braves.
Isn't that amazing? I don't know if you've read the Why We Love Baseball book by Joe Posnanski, but he wrote about it too. When you ask people why they love baseball, it's never because I love the strategy. We obviously learn to love the strategy and everything about it, but it's always a story from your childhood and remembering. It's the same way for me, sitting up in the press box here in Wichita and watching minor league games. That's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. You got to start somewhere, and that was a good one.
So you mentioned your appreciation and I presume adoration for Henry Aaron started at an early age. What prompted you to write a book about something that's been written about a lot? What made you go down this path, Dan?
Well, actually, there are a couple of answers to that. Number one, this is my second Hank Aaron biography. I wrote one 50 years ago called Hammerin, Hank, the Henry Aaron Story that coincided with his breaking Babe Ruth's home run record. And that one was really a straightforward biography, just talking about his baseball career. And he was still an active player at the time that book came out. But so much has happened in the last half century with Aaron and with baseball that I thought it needed another telling. There was so much going on. For example, Aaron became an executive with the Braves who actually cut Brian Snitker, who was a minor league catcher who couldn't hit. He offered him a coaching job in the Braves system, and the rest is history. That happened 48 years ago. Aaron also cut his son, Larry Aaron, his oldest son, also couldn't hit, told him to get his education degree. Larry did that, became a teacher in Milwaukee, and scouted for the Brewers for 24 years. So lots of factors went into this book. It's not just Aaron's remarkable record as an athlete, but as a civil rights advocate and as a humanitarian.
Do you think there are still things about Hank Aaron that are yet to be uncovered, or that his legacy, while amazing, do you see it evolving still in the years after his death?
I do, because first of all, his widow Billy is still with us, and secondly, many people who knew him, worked for him, are still around, and his name is still gold in Atlanta. They still have 44 carved into center field at Truist Park. They're going to have a moving ceremony at the All-Star Game in 2025 when they have that in Atlanta. There's an exhibit ongoing at the Atlanta History Center that opened April 9th and is going to go right through that All-Star Game. So his name is still incredible in baseball.
Dan Schlossberg is our guest. He's got a new book, which is kind of an old book. You're kind of an update from your biography about Hank Aaron from 50 years ago. This one called Home Run King, The Remarkable Record of Hank Aaron. So his record was broken by Barry Bonds, and some of us, I'm an older person, I don't appreciate the fact that that record was broken by someone like Barry Bonds. Tell us about Aaron's reaction. What do you think he felt, or what do you know that he felt about that?
Their relationship was icy at best. Aaron had no respect for the guys who were allegedly on steroids, and apparently all the Hall of Fame voters agree, because Barry Bonds used up his 10 years on the eligibility list for the Baseball Hall of Fame and did not get in. And I don't think he will ever get in, because most writers think he cheated. And if you look at the record, the only time Barry hit as many as 50 in a season was the year he had 73. And as Yogi Berra would say, something ain't kosher in the state of Denmark.
So what do you think would be, or how do you think we'd be talking about Henry Aaron if he had hit 713 home runs and hadn't tied and then passed Babe Ruth? Because he was a quiet and unassuming guy, obviously had a huge impact on the civil rights movement. But what would his story be if he retired as second in career home runs?
Well, actually, he is second in career home runs, but that's only if you count Barry Bonds, which I don't, by the way.
Right. I'm saying if he had retired as second in home runs.
Okay. Well, what I worried about as a Braves fan, as an Aaron fan, the winter of 1973-74, he spent that whole period wondering whether he would ever get the chance to tie or break the record. He had death threats against him, many death threats against him. He had an FBI agent assigned to him. He had security people assigned to him. On the road in 1973, he had his own hotel. He ate separately from his teammates. So he wondered all winter whether somebody was going to knock him off during the winter. He once told Dusty Baker and Ralph Garr, young Braves black outfielders, not to sit near him on the bench in case somebody took a shot at him during a game. So this is what he was worried about. Fortunately, it didn't happen, despite all the threats. But how to get through that, especially for the whole winter, it was pretty tough.
We're talking with Dan Schlossberg, an author who's written a lot of sports books, especially baseball books. This one, most recently, is about Hank Aaron. I'm 69. I followed his career very closely. He was almost like it's almost like in history, he's been punished just a little bit for his remarkable consistency and his down-to-earth personality. Would you agree with that? That those things haven't been maybe valued as much as they should have been?
Very much so. Good question, as a matter of fact. Aaron was kind of the polar opposite of Willie Mays. Mays was charismatic and flamboyant. Aaron is introverted, humble. Don Drysdale said he was so relaxed at the plate it looked like he was falling asleep between pitches. Obviously not, since he hit 17 home runs against Drysdale and batted .362 against Sandy Koufax and .342 against Steve Carlton. So Aaron was wide awake, but very relaxed. And as a person, as a black man, he learned to turn the other cheek. He followed the lead of Dr. Martin Luther King and just, didn't respond to all the race baiting, the epithets, the racial bigotry that went on. And that enabled him to do things like integrating the all-white Sally League in 1953 when he was in the Braves minor league system. And then later on putting up with all the abuse that he got when he was approaching Babe Ruth's record, a record held by a white man that a lot of bigots did not want to see fall to a black man.
And before my son Jeff asks a question, one of the things I remember the most about Hank Aaron, and it's not a big deal, but it was unusual. He always carried his batting helmet to the plate and then put it on when he stepped in the batter's box. I thought that's what I remember about Hank Aaron. Did you write about that?
A lot of players say that they don't have any superstitions, but they all do. Every one of them does. They don't step on the white lines. I mean, little things. And little things like carrying the batting helmet and putting it on as he got to the plate, same idea. These guys are superstitious. Aaron wanted 44 because he thought double-digit numerals would help him, be lucky for him. He wore number 5 as a rookie. So there are little things the players do all the time that are superstitions, and, they believe in them.
So I'm curious because you wrote or co-authored an autobiography of Milo Hamilton, who was the Braves radio voice at that time, and I spent a little bit of time in Atlanta several years back and heard some stories about him, and I just was curious about what your impressions of him were, what it was like working with him, and how closely his baseball life is intertwined with that of Hank Aaron.
I'm glad you brought up Milo because Milo doesn't get enough respect. He is in the broadcasters wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame. He was elected there in 1992. He was also with 8 different teams as a broadcaster, but worked something like 63 years in the major leagues. I think only Vince Scully has a longer tenure as a broadcaster. But I loved working with Milo Hamilton. I've done 3 autobiographies as a ghostwriter. Milo, Ron Bloomberg, who's from Atlanta, but played for the Yankees, and also Al Clark, the umpire for 26 years. Milo, of the 3 of those, was most prepared. He came with notes. He knew his stuff. He remembered things. He pointed out things. He was very good with stories, anecdotes, had a great sense of humor. And I learned a lot about Milo, the man, that I didn't know. For example, he was a huge fan of Stan Musial. I did not know that until I got to working with him. But it was great to work with a professional like that. He was professional in the booth. He did a great job, and he had a great voice. In fact, if you go to the Baseball Hall of Fame and you watch their introductory movie, they show you Aaron's 7/15. But the soundtrack that they paired with it is Milo Hamilton's WSB radio call, not Vince Scully's call for the Dodgers, not Kurt Gowdy's call for NBC, but Milo Hamilton's radio call. So I think that says a lot.
That is very cool. Dan Schlossberg, our guest. So you mentioned some of the great Hall of Fame, all-time great pitchers that Hank Aaron had very good success against. How did he do against my all-time favorite, Bob Gibson?
Not as well as the others. He was a little bit intimidated. In fact, he told the other black players on the Braves, don't ever challenge Gibson. Don't even look at him, because Gibson he'd throw the ball at you. He was a headhunter. Gibson had a reputation as a headhunter, and he would throw the ball at you. But Tom Seaver is a good case in point. Let me interject about Seaver. When Seaver came up, he struck Aaron out 7 times his rookie year. Now, Aaron only averaged 63 strikeouts a year, so 7 times against one pitcher, especially a rookie pitcher, was very unusual. However, Aaron also had a photographic memory. After that, he learned Seaver. Every other year of Seaver's career, he never struck out Aaron more than once.
Wow. Well, you've done remarkable research on Henry Aaron, and you've shared your knowledge and passion in a great way. Dan, we really appreciate you coming on to talk about this. Congratulations on an exquisite writing career and your latest book, Home Run King, The Remarkable Record of Hank Aaron. Dan Schlossberg has been our guest. Thank you again.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Jeff. Great to be on with you.
Start your summer road trip at Midas and get up to $30 off your next repair service. Plus, get a free closer look vehicle check to make sure you're road trip ready. So if you need brake service, an alignment check, or tune-up, hit up Midas for up to $30 off. For more details, request your appointment at Midas.com.
TuneIn is the audio platform with something for everyone. News.
In order to secure convictions in a court of law, it is essential that we conclusively.
Sports.
Got clock at 4. Doncic. The step back 3. You bet.
Music.
You set my world on fire. Yes,
and even podcasts. Whatever you love, hear it right here on TuneIn. Go to TuneIn.com or download the TuneIn app to start listening.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
yes, cool,
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at Cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.